Onto the big story that is dominating in every household and business at the moment, and that's the country's electricity crisis, which has had everyone up in arms, including trade unions. The General Industry Workers Union of South Africa is now calling for a national shutdown to protest against blackouts, as well as the tariff increase that will be coming into effect in April. Now, it's urging all trade unions and civic organizations to support this move to stem job losses. Giwusa President Mametlwe Sebei joins us this afternoon for more on this. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. You wrote a lengthy report yesterday about some of the grievances that this electricity crisis has put out for your workers and the country in general. And maybe if you could give us a general overview of your biggest concerns and really what needs to be done to stave off the crisis that we've been going through.
Yes, obviously, first and foremost, what is widely reported in media is the fact that when there's load shedding and because of the crisis of energy, lots of industries are under stress. The consequence of that is that on the working class broadly, through retrenchment, through cuts on benefits and all other attempts of the working of the bourgeois class, of the employers, to make the working class to pay for this crisis. But more than that, it's really about the crisis of home economy for many working class and middle class households. The fact that electricity are now resorting, to petrol, to diesel, to power their houses, through generators. Some people have to resort to solar panels under circumstances which I think we do support renewable, we do support solar power, but I do think that the state has to come to the party because some of these are beyond affordability and accessibility of the working class. So there is really a generalized crisis faced by the working class as a consequence of the plunder and looting of Eskom, a crisis which the working class was created, but a crisis for which it has been made to pay both at on the industrial place, in workplaces, but also just at level of social reproduction, in homes, in households, in communities.
Mr. Sebei, our connection isn't that great, but I'm going to try to keep the conversation going. Have you seen some industries or some companies have to retrench or cut wages or the hours of your members because of the crisis we are in? Has this started to happen, or is it something that you foresee coming in the not so distant future?
No, it has been happening. In number of workplaces where in the past few years we've had to negotiate, retrenchment, the issue of electricity has come up in many of those negotiations. The reality is, especially, during COVID, there was issue of COVID. Many workers have not returned the jobs, partly because companies are saying, well, we may be the lockdowns, hard lockdowns may be over, but we have a crisis of energy. And that's the reason that we don't see the economy, we don't see levels of unemployment recovering to a pre-COVID level. And that's because if you look at the load shedding, in 2018, right, we had 124 hours lost to load shedding. Now, by 2022, over 1,954 hours were lost due to load shedding. This is a crisis that has an impact on the industry. And of course, the bourgeois class, every time they are faced with a crisis, they restructure, they make sure that it's the workers that ultimately pay. And that's the reason we are saying here and no further, the working class must organize, the working class must fight back.
And tell us about that national shutdown. You've been very specific about how it will work and the bodies that you are calling on to come on and support this national shutdown that you are calling for.
Yes, we do think that the trade union movement must step to the fore. We are aware that number of, I think we have nothing in common with those organizations. The reality is some of those parties are very gleeful about this crisis because for them, how public ownership doesn't work. Public ownership, that it is agenda to privatize Eskom that got us in this crisis in the first place. What we do need is the working class to fight for the control of ESCOM, to place ESCOM under a democratic and control of the working class. And for that, we are saying that the working class must step to the fore. The trade union movement, we have called on SAFTU, we have called on COSATU, Giwusa, NACTU, and other independent unions to come together. We've also called on community civics. We've also called on climate justice movement, because we do believe that, contrary to narrative, that the crisis is because of transition to renewable. In fact, we do think that installing, for instance, solar panel in every working class and middle class household in this country is one way of resolving the crisis. A colleague of mine here was reminding me that Vietnam had a crisis far worse than we have. Just by installing solar panel in each household was one of the emergency measures that were used to alleviate and tapped wind power along a very long coastal line that we have, stretching from the border with Namibia all the way to the border with Mozambique and so on. That can solve big part of the country's electricity. It is reliable. There's always waves in the sea. The idea that that power is not reliable is not true. So we are saying that the working class must impose solutions. And the way to go about it, we are convening a meeting this Sunday. We are calling on the civic, we are calling trade unions. We will be having a climate justice coalition in that meeting. We are going to announce an action plan, and part of that is going to include a national shutdown, where all of us are going to, of course, occupy cities. We are going to demonstrate, and we are going to impose our demands as solution to this crisis.
Thank you very much for those insights. We will indeed catch up with you after you've had that meeting on Sunday on the way forward that you have decided. That is Giwusa President Mametlwe Sebei joining us this afternoon, talking about the national shutdown against the energy crisis that exists in the country. And that's all your business news for this hour, Maseko. I must say, it really does affect everything. I realized even Uber Eats, if there's load shedding, they cannot get the drivers to connect to the networks and the orders.
Exactly.
Therefore, nothing can move.
Sometimes you get lost in the Uber.
Yes.
Because the Uber driver loses network on the app to direct them on where you're going.
Every single
thing. It messes up everything.
Impacted.
Even the most simplest thing, it messes up. Well, Rafil Mazena, thank you very much. I'll see you again tomorrow.